Round 1.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Back to the box art again for this guide, and this time we're looking at the flagship Viking Vanguard Raider. Season 10 just touched down, and Raider received some improvements to increase the viability of the character. For 9 seasons, this fan favourite has been crying out for buffs, and they're finally here. With so many new combat options and more damage, Raider plays a little differently now, but the identity of the hero still remains intact.
Round 2.
Raider fights with a Dane axe, and was relatively slow to attack before the patch. The changes made for Season 10 has given Raider new chains, more damage, hyper armor, faster attacks, soft feints, and additional zone option. This guide will assume you know the basics of For Honor combat, and you're also familiar with the terminology, such as guard breaks, parrying, chains, and feints, etc., and is aimed at new and existing players to help learn a new character. Raider has 6 attack chains. Chop and Poke is 3 light attacks in a row. Chop and Cleave is 2 lights into a heavy finisher. Harsh Swinging is a light opener with 2 heavy follow-ups. Wild Swinging is 3 heavies back to back. Savage Slashers is a heavy opener into 2 light attacks. And Winding Slashers is a heavy opener with a light follow-up into heavy finisher. Raider's light attacks from neutral do 15 damage. Second chain lights also hit for 15 damage. The direction doesn't affect the damage until you get to the chain light finishers. The light finisher from side guard hits for 18 damage, whilst the light finisher from the top hits for 22 damage. This is high for a light attack, but the caveat here is that this particular light is very slow at 700 milliseconds. Raider's side heavies are as follows. Side opener hits for 40 damage, chain heavy hits for 35, and the chain finisher hits for 40. Top heavy openers hit for 45 damage, the chain heavy does 40 damage, and the chain finisher hits for 48 damage. Raider's chain heavy attacks now have uninterruptible stance or hyper armor. This is represented by a white flash and can be used to trade with opponents. With Raider's damage increase, this is a very viable tactic when at high health. When out of lock and sprinting towards your opponent, press heavy attack to perform Reaping Charge. This hits your opponent's left guard for 35 damage. It cannot be used to start chains, nor does it grant an execution should you score a kill with it. Raider's Zone Attack, or Raider Storm, is an unblockable attack that hits your opponent's right guard for 28 damage. Though I expect this will be changed in a future patch, currently the recovery is long enough on Neutral Zone or Raider Storm that your opponents will be able to guarantee a guard break against you even if you hit them with Raider Storm. Raider Fury is a zone attack variant used during a chain. This attack hits your opponent's left guard for 50 damage. Upon using either Raider Storm or Raider Fury, your chain will end. Because Raider Fury is a chain finisher, it cannot be chained into from your light or heavy chain finishers. By dodging to the left, right, or towards your opponent and pressing light attack, you'll perform Stunning Tap. This always hits your opponent's top guard for 18 damage and will temporarily blind them. You can also soft feint into Stunning Tap from any heavy attack, Raider Storm, or Raider Fury. Do this by inputting light attack during the startup of your heavy attacks, or during the startup of either zone attack variation. It's worth noting that you can delay the soft feint from your zone attack variation slightly. Whilst your opponent is blinded, they will not be able to see your slower, more damaging attacks, forcing them to make reads instead of reacting. Stunning Tap counts as the second hit in your chain, granting you easy access to your chain finishers. Because of this, if your finisher is a heavy attack or Raider Fury, you can loop your chain indefinitely, provided you have stamina. Possibly useful for revenge, but over-reliance on Stunning Tap could lead to a light parry for your opponent if you become too predictable. Whilst unlocked and sprinting towards your opponent, press and hold guard break to perform Stampede Charge. This move sees Raider grab and carry an opponent. Whilst holding guard break, Raider will continue to carry the opponent. If Raider hits a wall whilst carrying, the opponent will be pressed against the wall and take a knee to the face. This will cause 15 damage and temporarily stun them. If there is no wall nearby, however, or you release guard break during the carry, Raider will toss their opponent to the ground instead. Stampede Charge is a very useful ganking tool, but be mindful of the fact that it has no armour and can now be easily interrupted by enemies and allies alike. Whilst carrying an opponent and there is an environmental hazard nearby, such as a ledge, if you release guard break early before hitting the wall, the raider will automatically target the environmental and throw them towards their death. Raider has access to a dodge guard break. This works either by dodging forward or to the left or the right and pressing guard break. This allows Raider to punish some attacks other characters cannot, such as Lawbringer's chain shove. Raider can also soft feint any heavy attack, Raider Storm or Raider Fury into guard break. Between soft feinted guard breaks, stunning taps, or simply letting the attacks fly, Raider can maintain the offensive and can control the flow of the fight through clever mix-ups. So whilst throwing forward activates Stampede Charge from guard break, in order to properly wall splat opponents you need to use a controlled throw. Whilst Raider can throw left, right and behind with a tap of the guard break button in those respective directions. Holding guard break down will see Raider rotate round with the opponent. When guard break is released, or when Raider has turned roughly 270 degrees, the opponent is thrown. This is how you wall splat enemies. It requires correct spacing, but can lead to big damage opportunities if done correctly. This does require some practice, but correct use of this will significantly improve your game with Raider, as the character has a very easy time successfully guard breaking opponents. Now for the punishers. On guard break, you can get a light attack for 15 damage. If you have the stamina, you can zone attack for 28 damage. Remember that it is unsafe. Or you can soft feint a zone or heavy into stunning tap for 18 damage. Wall splat via Stampede Charge nets you an additional light attack totaling to 30 damage. Whilst difficult to parry, the zone attack can be parried, so you must use it with caution. When wall splatting your opponent, throwing to the side will net you a side heavy for 40 damage. A controlled throw will also net you a side heavy for 40 damage. If the distance to the wall is far enough, either via a controlled throw or a side throw, you can get a top heavy for 45 damage. When using Stampede Charge to throw an enemy to the ground, you can confirm a light attack for 15 damage. You can also confirm a stunning tap for 18 damage, although this is unsafe. Another option you have is to go into zone attack or Raider Storm for 28 damage. When parrying a heavy attack, you get a light attack for 15 damage. When parrying a light attack, you get a side heavy for 40 damage. Top heavy is too slow and can be blocked. When throwing an out of stamina opponent, do a controlled throw. Dodge forward into stunning tap and combo into Raider Fury for 68 damage. If you don't have the stamina, however, after your throw, walk forward slightly and do a top heavy for 45 damage. If you throw your opponent to the side, Raider Fury is not confirmed, as your opponent will recover in time. Should you find you've thrown to the side, perhaps by accident, walk forward and do a top heavy for 45 damage. Alternatively, you can whiff a light attack into Raider Fury for 50 damage. Please be careful though, as this is unsafe. When parrying an out of stamina opponent, dodge forward into stunning tap and combo into Raider Fury for 68 damage. However, if you're low on stamina, a good alternative is to simply do a top heavy for 45 damage. If you manage to guard break your opponent when out of stamina, you can get a light attack for 15 damage. The direction doesn't matter. Raider can still perform Stampede Charge whilst out of stamina, however you must pay attention to your opponent's guard. The follow-up light is not confirmed if you attack a direction they were already blocking. However, you can still confirm the light if you change your guard. If there is enough distance between you and the wall when you do a controlled throw out of stamina, you can net a side heavy for 40 damage. Parrying an opponent's light attack when you are out of stamina will give you a light attack of your own for 15 damage. Though I don't have the footage, the safest option I believe on revenge activation is to go for a top heavy for 59 damage. There's a chance this isn't optimal and there are other punishers, but I'm afraid I do not know what they are. Raider has access to some good feats. Rush, whilst useful for some characters, can be ignored, as Raider has better options. Tireless, now more than ever, is a must on Raider. With new soft feint options, reducing stamina usage on Raider is a welcome boon. Body count isn't bad though for Dominion, as Raider plows through minions easily. Marked for Death is probably most useful in elimination. As for other 4v4 modes, there are once again better options. Inspire is a must whilst defending in breach, and it's worth noting that Raider is by far the best hero in the game when it comes to escorting or stopping the ram. Bear Trap leads to nasty ledge kill opportunities in Dominion, but can also be used for a free top heavy. Second Wind again remains undefeated as the best tier 3 feat in the game, so is always a welcome choice. Fury isn't optimal in my opinion, but Battlecry does have its uses. Raider reaches absurdly high damage whilst this is active, and confident players can use this to quickly dispatch opponents. Fire Flask is a decent AoE if that's your preference, but for me I like to run Stalwart Banner. This feat is a must for defending in breach to help keep the commander healthy, and also increases Raider's longevity when outnumbered. Slippery sadly has little use. Being able to already counter guard break during a dodge, Raider has no need of this feat. Raider's perk selection is up for debate, as you can either run offensive or defensive. Given the high stamina demand of the hero, however, I recommend to run Fresh Focus at the very least. Endurance is also a solid choice to help manage Raider's stamina costs. My final choice would be Devourer. Raider has no trouble at all executing opponents, so this is a good pick. In conclusion, Raider is very strong now. Incredibly high damage and useful misdirection through stunning tap blinds and soft feint guard breaks, Raider completely controls the pace of the fight. The hyper armor on chain heavies is a welcome change, allowing Raider to run through overly aggressive opponents. Perhaps keeping guard break on dodge is a little overkill now, but that's just my opinion and I'm not an expert at game balance. However, I do think with these improvements, Raider mains everywhere have a reason to celebrate. If you found this guide helpful, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Be sure to tick the bell icon to receive notifications of new content, and thank you all so much for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now.